Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform Community Call. Today is February 5th, 2026. I am your host, Bo Cameron. Maybe if I could make PowerPoint work. There we go. Awesome. So we have a great agenda today. First, we'll give you all the updates on all of our open source projects that we have. We have some really cool updates in there. Then we'll take our picture, which is everyone's favorite time. But most importantly, we have 3 awesome demos. The first one is a first-time presenter, so make sure you give them a warm welcome, is Nicolas, who's going to show us how to manage custom actions using a custom action manager Webpart. Longtime presenter Ejaz will be showing us how to architect solutions for SharePoint Multi-Geo environments. And then everyone's favorite presenter, Hugo, will show us how to build a full bleed Webpart in his ongoing and never-ending series of building AI-integrated SPFx Webparts. And if this is your first time, or if you're a long-time listener, we have a lot of resources available to you, depending on how you like to consume content. So we do have a YouTube where all of our demos and calls get recorded and published. We also have a active LinkedIn group where we post all of the updates from this group as well. And we have a myriad of open source repositories for tools and samples and libraries, SDKs, and more. And then we actually have a sample gallery, so you can search and filter and look through samples that other community members have built. And then you can find all of these and more at our website at aka.ms/community/home. And this is not the only call that we host, so we have a myriad of other calls as well, some from Microsoft speakers on Copilot, SharePoint, and Power Platform. And then we also have a Power Platform focused call as well. You can get access to all of these calls at aka.ms/community/calls. And our next call is the Microsoft 365 and Power Platform weekly call happening February 10th at 8 a.m. Pacific time. There's going to be some really cool demos here from Eric, Steve, Mithuna, and Akash. So make sure you check that out. And if you have something that you've worked on or something you would like to share, could be web parts, could be architectural demos, it could be tools. We would love you to request to present and then demo at one of our future calls. So you can submit a request at our format aka.ms/community/request/demo, and we will kind of get you into the backlog of future presenters. And this one is for David, I think.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Bo. So, yeah, you are right. So friends, we've got Sharing is Caring in place here. If you're unfamiliar, this is a program that provides hands-on assistance on a number of topics, and sometimes they are contextual. What does that mean? That means that we are going to join a live Teams call. We're going to talk about opportunities to contribute to the community, one of which that is coming up very soon, less than a month away, the Hackathon. It does use GitHub to submit some of those entries, so we're going to show you how to use that, and it is going to be an actual contribution. Or if you want to contribute to the samples that you're going to hear all about today, some awesome stuff, you will be able to understand the labyrinth that is GitHub there as well. We are getting those scheduled out. I know Vesta and I are talking about what's going to be in the Hackathon Sharing is Caring session on tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that. A lot of huge opportunities, and it is a contribution. So don't hesitate to join in. Keep an eye at aka.ms/sharingiscaring. It is a safe space. We don't record it, and it counts as a contribution. And why does it count as a contribution being important to you, you may ask? I'm so glad you asked. It is because it is a recognizable contribution via our recognition program. So when you do contribute to the community, we have our Powered by Credly recognition program labeled best in class because of all of you and the amazing work that you're doing. So get involved. We are back for 2026 with lots of cool, fun, and exciting badges, more themes and events and initiatives coming this year as well. Many like those Star Wars and Back to the Future and the holiday-related ones as well, seasonal-related ones. So don't hesitate to get involved. It is free. There is no charge. You just need to opt in once. We are up to almost 2,000 in the program, which is amazing. So thank you, thank you, thank you. ak.ms/community/recognition. Bo, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, David. And next up, special guest, Paolo, over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Bo. And today I want to share with you that there is an amazing initiative for the community, the Agents League. It is a competition, a contest between all of the community members to build the best agent ever. You have 3 categories and 3 battles: the creative agents built with GitHub Copilot, the reasoning agent with Microsoft Foundry, and the enterprise agent for Microsoft 365 Copilot. And today I'm happy to announce the special guest that we will have in the battle 2, the one about reasoning agents. We will have Adam Holma, Nimish Sardana, and Seo Anand, and the moderator will be my colleagues and friends Carlotta Castelluccio and Cory Stegar-Pace. So register ak.ms/agents league and start thinking and building your amazing agents to compete with the whole community. Thank you. Back to you, Bo.
Awesome. Very cool. That sounds like a really fun event. All right. Next up, SharePoint's turning 25.
Yes, I can actually talk about this one. So AKMS SP at 25, and again, we will have a big digital event on March 2nd. I think it's 9 a.m. on Pacific time, and that's on March 2nd. That is a Monday. Why Monday? What? But because it's the 3-to-1 date. I said March 2nd, 2001, when SharePoint was generally released. And so therefore, it's 3-to-1. 3-to-26 date because it's 25 years old. Let's go to the following slide. As part of that event, we are also starting the SharePoint Hackathon. That's kicking off on March 2nd, and we'll have 6 or 7, funny enough, now I'm saying that again, 6 or 7 live streams as part of that hackathon. We'll try to get the final thing on clarified on that one, but that's happening. Additional live streams, additional categories, additional demos, AMAs, Q&As, all of that stuff on the hackathon, AKMS SharePoint Hackathon, and you do not have to be a developer to actually participate on this one. If you're building stuff in Power Automate in the context of SharePoint, those things are also welcome. So it is actually hackathon for everybody as well. Let's then go to the following slide and move into the SharePoint framework. So that's all good. Quick update on the slides. Yay! Woo! Wow! There I go. Now, all-time highest daily usage is actually this week now, and the usage is just growing dramatically. It's wonderful to see. We had a bit of a slowness at some moment of a time, but now it's actually growing rapidly again worldwide, and we have tens of millions of monthly active users on custom SPFx component. Let's go to the following slide. Roadmap slide quickly in here. 122 was released in December. The latest version was released actually last week. In the monthly summary, we actually announced 122.2, where we were addressing 2 new audit issues. So we're moving into this model where in a monthly basis, we are addressing any known audit issues to clear the NPM audit reports. Just to clarify that there's no vulnerabilities there, and there wasn't, but it's a complex story, and we're not going to spend time on that one in this call. Also, debug toolbar is starting to roll out to production yesterday, so you will sooner or later, when you do in-place debugging, you will actually see the debugging toolbar, and that will then randomly provide you requests to provide feedback. If you're an SPFx developer, please rate us, provide us feedback. That is a super important thing for us as we keep on evolving our story with SPFx. 123 is still in March, 124 May, June, and new stuff over there. But that's a quick intros on the roadmap, and let's move into the next topics.
Awesome. Thank you.
Before we go
we're not doing pictures yet, but just this is a new thing that we are doing to streamline the process. Just make sure your cameras are turned on. You can do it now if you want, and that way we can just get through picture time once it comes up after our open source repositories. All right, so now updates from open source. First, we start with our Copilot prompt library. So I actually have no idea what this is. No, I'm just joking. So if you haven't heard, AI is a thing, and prompts are really important to how you actually interact with AI specifically. And so we have a repository with all of our favorite and best sample prompts that people have submitted from the community. So you would want to check that out. Which leads us into our prompt of the week from Andre. This was actually super cool. So the prompt is, the task is to review the items from the past 7 days and prepare a prioritized action list in English showing whether I have received any responses from those sent messages. And so then it provides some scope rules like, hey, check sent, don't check junk or spam, only use 7 days. And then it provides a really nice response back of, hey, here are things that need action or things that need immediate action. Super cool prompt. Thank you, Andre, for that submission. And you can find more and all these at aka.ms/PNP prompt library. And then I'll do the update for PNP-GIS, which is our client-side library for communicating with Microsoft Graph and SharePoint APIs. We have no updates for version 4. We've been pretty stable for quite some time now. We're working on version 5. We have a lot of really cool updates that we are trying to pack in there. We have no release date yet planned, but we will let you know. Yeah. Now for CLI for Microsoft 365, Gary.
Thanks, Bo. Yep, so CLI for Microsoft 365 version 11.4 has been released. So 3 new commands for SharePoint Online, SharePoint Embedded, and SharePoint Premium. So that is getting default column values from a library, permanently removing the containers from the recycle bin, and applying an autofill option to a column. There's also an update to one of the Teams commands for sending messages. They now support HTML as well as plain text. If you want to try out the latest version, you can get that from npm. You just use the PNP /CLI-M365 package name. You'll get the latest version. You can also try out our Docker container as well if you don't want to install the package on your machine. Just a reminder, this is version 11, so if you haven't upgraded yet from version 10, we would like you to, but know that there are some breaking changes, but we have a guide there available ready for you to make that change. And as always, all bug fixes, enhancements are in our release notes in our documentation. Moving on. So we also have the MCP server for CLI for Microsoft 365, where all of the commands from CLI for Microsoft 365 can be used with your coding agents like GitHub Copilot Chat. And we've made a recent update. That update is to streamline the usage of the tools and reduce the token usage. Previously, we would put all of the available commands in the context window. Now we are choosing the commands that are relevant to your intent. So we're reducing the amount of tokens that you're going to be using on every request as well. But if you have not tried this, do go check it out. It's very powerful. You can manage your whole M365 tenant with all the commands that we have in CLI for Microsoft 365 through your AI coding agents. Okay, moving on. And we have a new release of DevProxy. This is version 2.10. So this is a stable release of DevProxy and a stable release of the DevProxy toolkit, which is the VS Code extension. We've got some really useful updates, configuration hot reload, which is something that people have been asking about for a while. So you no longer have to start DevProxy every time you make a change, which is useful. If you're building MCP servers, then you can use DevProxy to proxy the traffic as well. So it's going to be really useful for development. A few other enhancements as well, little improvements along the way. And the toolkit's had a big update. There's a lot more diagnostics and quick fixes in there to make it easier for you to create and manage your configuration files. So yeah, they're out, new version of DevProxy. Please try it out. Back to you, Bo.
Oh, awesome, Gary. Lots of updates there. You make me feel like I should be doing more. All right, we have reusable controls over to Alex.
Yep, thank you, Bo. Same with me. To Gary, it's always difficult to say like, hey, we have no actual updates for now. We are still working on the new versions for both React controls and property controls. And as always, thank you to all our contributors, and thank you for all the issues and all the PRs you are submitting to the libraries. And that's all I have. Back to you, Bo.
Awesome. Thank you, Alex. All right, is Adam on? Or
Adam was not able to make it yet, so I think he's having trouble. So just Feel free to take it, Bo, or I can take it. In pre-release for v.4.16.4, so the update to add SPFx component is available there. And of course, this is a toolkit, right? So there's a dedicated badge. They're open for contributions. Nico and Adam are doing a great job. The whole team is doing awesome. So don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. Get involved. You can learn more at aka.ms/viva/VS Code. Bo, back to you.
Thank you, David. All right, next up we have Casper over at P&P Modern Search.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we are on 4.19.1 right now, and we've had it's quite an extensive update because we have had a lot of new capabilities. Like you can change the title of your web part, and you can also change sort of like the Chrome of your web part, not just the individual results yourself. So that makes it easier. We also added some capabilities related to our feedback on our refiners, because there is a hard limit that we only get 1,000 items back, and we've seen people who have been writing like they wanted 4,000 items getting back, and they hadn't not been able to figure out why they didn't get what they asked for. So we are adding some additional feedback for that as well. Right now, I am testing the next release, which is going to be 4.19.2. It's just a minor update with some bug fixes, and we expect to roll that out sometime next week. And then we'll have a major 4.20 planned for sometime early March, I think. So that's it for now. Back to you, Bo.
Awesome. Thank you, Casper. Next up, Hugo, give us some updates on samples.
Hey, folks. We have a new sample gallery browser for our SPFx web parts and extensions. It's actually a screenshot of it that you can see right there. And these are the latest updates, the latest samples from our community. We have a brand new smart context AI-powered page insights application extension, a new authenticated Power Automate flow trigger by Ejaz, and then we have updates to the organization directory, the Kanban board web part, both by Peter Paul Kirshner, and a new Copilot chat API playground by Siddharth, and then building custom heft plugins. Those are all new samples. You can get them all by going to aka.ms/SPFx-webparts. And if you want to see more samples, not just web parts and extensions, you can go to aka.ms/community/samples, where all the samples are found. And if you contribute to our repo, you will get a fancy sample contributor SPFx web part badge. Hopefully the 2026 version will be out soon. And that's it for me. Back to you, Bo.
Nice work. And the browser looks fantastic, so everyone should go check it out. And then we have P&P SPFx Aces. There's no new updates, but the team is looking for samples. So if you're working with Viva connections and you build Aces within SPFx, we would love to see some of those, or even better, demo them on the call. So you can check out all those samples at aka.ms/community/samples as well. All right, picture time. Everybody get your cameras on, hair fixed.
My hair has been fixed Hugo all morning. Yeah, Hugo and I are. All right, so we are getting into conference season, everybody. So we're in the auditorium today. We'll give it just another minute. We're a little over time, but we'll be good because Hugo knows how to adjust. He's very bendy and flexible, so we'll give it just another second for some of those cameras to get turned back on. Great to see you all. That's doing the dance. He's doing the bobble. I see Ejaz down there. Awesome. Great to see everybody. Looking good. So we'll give it just one more second. See Zhao. All right. See Don. His camera's been working lately. Excellent. Okay. I see a few more. Awesome. Okay. So let's give it the countdown, everybody. 3 and 2 and 1. Wave to the community. Great to see you again. Thank you so much. These initiatives are not possible without all of your community passion and support. So thank you. We'll get this snipped out and shared out to the community. Really appreciate it. So thank you. Bo, back to you.
All right. Demo time. So as mentioned, we have 3 really great demos today. Nicolas is going to kick us off with managing our custom actions with a custom action web part. Nicolas, take it away.
Will do. So let's share the PowerPoint. Hello. So my name is Nicolas, and I'm going to present how you can manage your custom actions in SharePoint using my custom action manager web part. And who am I? I'm a Microsoft 365 solution architect and SharePoint lead at Exobe. I live in Gothenburg, Sweden, so the right side of the country. And I mostly work with employee experience, so I develop intranets and solutions for scalable. I mostly work with employee experience, so I design scalable employee experience platforms, so SharePoint, Engage, Teams, usually focusing on large corporation, international corporations with clients from 10K up to like 400K users. I do a lot of governance and lifecycle management, a lot of what's called compliance and stuff like that, and I do some custom solutions. And I try to be an active PnP contributor. I'm not the best at it, but I try to be. So I've developed a set number of web parts and extensions that I've submitted. And why did this solution come about? So a couple of years ago, I decided that I wanted to become better at coding because my main issue was I started losing my coding ability. I was just scripting for the most part, and you know, when you go up the career ladder, it's more meetings than working technical stuff and sitting and developing custom solutions. I had really frustrations with the PowerShell. Like I couldn't get the PnP PowerShell working. I couldn't get the SPO PowerShell working on my computer. And I got really frustrated about it. And I was developing a lot of like SharePoint extensions. When you were doing deployment of those, and you were doing it, for example, on a specific site, he created new custom action each time, which meant that I ended up with like 12 banners or 12 collab footers. And that was a headache for me to manage. So I wanted something easy to manage. And so I started to doing a web part where I could manage SharePoint extension, and then it evolved into including custom actions, because in the old company I used to work with before, we had a similar solution, which I really liked. And I was like, hey, I should use this for this too. So the main focus of this was that it should be easy to use. Anybody should be able to use it, but of course it's going to be IT admin, but they shouldn't need to start up PowerShell. They don't need to figure out how to do the commands. It should be really easy. My guiding principle is that all design when it comes to SharePoint and SPFx web parts should follow the SharePoint modern design guidelines, so the Fluent UI guidelines. I wanted to be able to manage multiple sites at once with full CRUD support. So instead of doing each site one by one, I could select 50 sites and do them all at once, for example. I want an ability to filter based on what scope and other like names, stuff like that. So it should be easier to manage. I wanted to support the legacy custom actions because in case you need it, as you know, custom actions is disabled by default on sites, but you can enable it. And I also wanted it to be easy to downgrade. So if you want to go to a lower SPFx version and use this on premise, you should be able to do that also. And the tools used were SPFx. I've upgraded this to the latest. So we're using the latest SPFx. We're using Hefty instead of Gulp. We're using Fluent UI version 8 because I'm having issues with version 9 and with panels and stuff like that, and compatibility issues. And we're using the latest PnP-JS, but the older branches contain pure HTTP instead. But I would go on to the PnP-JS because it's a lot easier to work with. So let's share the browser. And let's see what you guys think. So here, and then we go to, where is it? Sorry. Here. I believe it's this one. So this is my web part, and it's called a Custom Action Manager. So here you can see what sites it's connected to. You can change sites. You can select a specific site, or you can select multiple sites. So hey, I want, let's say, these 4. You select these, then you can manage them on 4 sites, and you see all the custom actions load from there. Let's say I just want to manage one, then I can deselect them, for example. And based on your selection, it's going to reload and get all the custom actions. Here you can search for custom actions. You can change the scope. We have web, we have site, we have lists, and we have tenant. Tenant is just a placeholder for now because it has some issues with it, so it's not fully implemented. We have advanced filters if needed. So if you want to filter on the registration type, the component ID, stuff like that, you can do that. You can create a new custom action. You can create it from templates. You can do bulk operations. So if you want to export it, you might want to refresh. You might have added one, and you want to refresh to see if it actually was added. And you can reset the filters. So if you press new here, we have a easy mode and we have a advanced mode. The advanced mode is a lot like just, yeah, it's a bit broader, but the easy mode is just simpler to use. And the easy mode is more for IT admins that might not have a lot of experience with PowerShell. So this is going to give them like a more of a reference, like, hey, this does this command in PowerShell. So here we can add JavaScript to pages, we can add navigation links, we can add ribbons, and we can add, for example, a SharePoint extension. Here we add the title, we add the internal name. Internal name can't have space and stuff like that. We add the description, we add the scope of the custom action, we add the client ID of it, we add the properties if there's any properties, and here we can add what the equivalent is. So here you can see like, hey, this equivals this in like the PnP PowerShell, for example, just to make it easier for like an IT admin to know what's what. So if we try this, let's say we take an SPFx extension. Let's say we call it collab footer number 2, for example. And we call it collab footer here. Presentation. Let's say I want it in a site scope. Let's say I'll take this component ID here, and then we can do these properties. This component ID, when you do an SPFx extension, for example, it needs to match the Webpart ID. And here you can see like, hey, if you were to run this on PowerShell, it would look like this. If you press save, and it's saved, and you see it's loaded here. So it's added. And if we reload the page, as you just see only one bar here, if we reload, I have 2 bars. So it adds that custom action for the site. And you can change the scope, you can edit this. So let's say I want to edit this, I can do that. Let's change the name, for example. And we can, oh, I got an error for this, so I need to fix that. We can delete this, or should I want to delete it? Yes. And it's going to delete that custom action. If I reload.
Could you reshare real quick? It looked like it's frozen on your.
Oh, sorry. I'm using the new client. I'm used to using the browser.
No worries.
Is it better now?
There you go. Thanks.
So yeah. Also, we can create them from templates. So I've added some common templates. Most of these probably aren't used anymore, but I googled like, hey, what are the most common custom actions used, and I just added them. So we have templates here. You can select them, you can add information, and then it's gonna add them as a custom action. You can create your own templates, and these templates are saved into a SharePoint list, for example. And you can also do bulk operations. So let's say you have a lot of actions and you want to delete all of them, or you want to export them. Then you can export them, and then you can choose, I want to export all the actions. And then you're going to get a JSON for it. And then you can use that either to add them to, maybe you're working on this on your dev environment and you want to add them to your production and stuff like that. So yeah. And and these won't work in case you haven't enabled the custom actions on the site. So let's say I'll take this site, Content Center, for example. As you can see, it's disabled here. So if I add it, if I change site, if I change site here and select it and remove the other one because I haven't implemented that both. If I try to add a custom JavaScript to the page, it's just gonna throw like, hey, it doesn't work, because it doesn't work. But if we do it like this and enable custom script, then you should be able to add a custom action. With that being said, it is a security risk to do this, so only do it if you know what you're doing, basically, as you can see. So it works for the old custom actions, but those are disabled by default. So yeah, so this is my Webpart, and if there is any questions, just ping me. If you want it, it's available on the PnP Webpart GitHub. And yeah.
Awesome. Fantastic. I don't see any questions. I just see applause. That's an amazing Webpart. There's so many features there. I really want to use that. Super cool work. All right. Next up, we have Ejaz.
So let me know when you can see my screen.
All good.
All right. Hey guys, my name is Ejaz and I'm Microsoft MVP and technical architect. Work for a company called Advania UK. So here's my Linktree link. Please scan this or go to this link. Get in touch if you want to catch up on anything around M365 Azure AI, Copilot stuff. So today I'm talking about SPFx cross borders and how do we use SPFx in, if you're building solution for multi-geo. So first we will go and see we'll look into what is multi-geo for the people who have not worked in the multi-geo environment, because it's not commonly available. It's mostly related to the enterprise, lots of licensing needed. If people who have not worked on this one, so a little bit information about architecture, what is multi-geo, and then we'll go into what are the SPFx consideration you need to know if you're building a solution which will work on multi-geo. Is quite a few things which you need to be careful and you need to plug it in differently if you're running the SPFx solution in multi-geo. And then we go into one by one into a bit more detail, like what's the search API look like in multi-geo, how it works, user profile and graph API, term store, what's the structure of the term store look like, and then and the app deployment across all geos. And then we look into the migration scenario where you would have, let's suppose, a existing tenant with 1,000 user, and you want to go and migrating into the multi-geo environment, and how that migration scenario look like, and what you need to do, and what would be the best practices. I have a small demo as well, which mock-up demo on my own tenant. I don't have the dev environment in multi-geo, but I would, but I can show you a mock-up which probably would, make sense for you to use if you come across to the multi-geo environment. So first of all, what is multi-geo? So is the enterprise is basically the capabilities for the enterprise customers if they are already they have a presence in different regions in the world, and everybody have a different tenants. So it makes sense they can get into a single tenant and then take this service as a multi-geo. So basically, the main they will be using they will have an instance of their own tenant, but they will be call a single tenant as a multi-geo. The main point here is about data residency. So each tenant, for example, the US or Europe, or they will have their own data living in their own geo. So that is the big plus. And there will be a single tenant for the administration for all geo as well. Supported services in here: Exchange Online, SharePoint, OneDrive, Teams, 365 Copilot. When I say supported services, which means when your data basically around these apps stay within that geo, doesn't go to the different geo. So currently available is a 30+ geographical available by Microsoft. If you divide into 3 different regions: America, Europe, Asia Pacific. So you will see in this table below, which, for example, United States, that each geo has its short name. We call this in multi-geo environment preferred data location PDLs. So you can see the PDL code against each geo, Germany, France, Canada, etc. So this is the PDL, very, very important. This tells the users which geo they belongs to. So that's very important, the PDL attribute in multi-geo environment. So what's the architecture look like? So we have a single Microsoft Intro ID global directory, and we would have one tenant, which will be a primary, we call it global tenant or primary tenant or primary geo. It will have a tenant app, default term store, admin center, and user profiles. Then all other geos, we call them satellite geos. So it could be Europe, could be APC, or could be any other satellite geos. So they will have their own SharePoint sites, OneDrive, Mailbox, Team Chats. But this is the structure, so they can be multiple as well. I said there's 30 plus, depending on the the organization. So as I said previously, user preferred data location in intro ID determine where the data is stored. So the PDL is very, very important in the multi-geo environment. So if we deep dive into the SPFx world, what's that look like? Some of the consideration when you're building solution which will run on the multi-geo. You need to think about, if you have a solution, have a search API, you have to be careful how to plan around that. How to use the enable multi-geo search parameters, so you can go across multi-geo different geos. User profile, you need to know, people location of the user profile. If you are making some updates to them, what are the strategy, what are the good practices are available. Graph API, which is multi-geo. Graph API is a multi-geo aware by default. Term store, how the replication and the local term store or the primary term store, how that look like. We'll look into the briefly app catalog, and then SharePoint REST, how the SharePoint REST work out in the multi-geo. So these are some of the consideration. We'll go into the one by one. So search API. First of all, search API will have a default behavior. It doesn't go outside the geo. So if you say, hey, in the multi-geo environment, you don't make any changes, make a search. And if your NAM geo, the US geo, is your primary geo, and you're trying to retrieve some data from the Europe geo, you can't do that. So solution is you guys need to append enable multi-geo search equal to true, part of your properties when you're making a search, and this will tell the search API, hey, go whatever the available geos in that infrastructure, go across everywhere and bring data from everywhere. So that's, you have to be careful with this multi-geo solution. You need to enable this one if you want to bring data from different geo and show to the user. And again, it's a search API, so the user permission will be respected. If user doesn't have access to data or any pages, they won't be available in the search. So advanced configuration. Now, if you just enable multi-search geo search equal to true, it will go everywhere. But there's another property, which is multi-geo configuration, where you can define, hey, I want a multi-geo, but I want to go only the NAM and the Europe. I don't want to go to Asia or any other satellite geo. So you can define in your part of your search query when you are making, you can define their tenant URL. So the search will only go and collect data from those geos, not from everywhere in your tenant multi-geo environment. So going to the next one. So user profiles. In terms of the user profile, with the user profile, you have where the user profile lives. So this, first of all, you should know if it's a OneDrive, then it's live in your OneDrive geo, wherever the OneDrive is created. If user doesn't have a OneDrive, but they had a PDL, then the profile will be live wherever the PDL, whatever the PDL says. And user without OneDrive, no PDL, and by default, those users go into the primary geo. So recommendation is use Graph API for the user profile operations. But one thing, because it's the multi-geo, but one thing you need to know with the Graph API, custom user profile properties might not be supported. So you need to check if you are using custom profile properties, then you need to see, how build probably use the other user profile REST API operation, not the Graph API. So you need to check on this one with the custom profile properties. Graph API multi-geo consideration. So now, if you are making simple Graph API requests from your solution, so you need to go and SharePoint Online extensibility web application app and make sure add all of your satellite tenants into your SharePoint Online client extensibility application principle. So then to make sure that the Graph API request works across your geo, all the tenants. Then term store models. It's in term store. We have primary geo will have the main term store, and then they will be replicated across other satellite by default. So they will be available, like you can see here, we have a term group main 1, main 2 also available within the satellite geo as well, and they have their own local as well. But you can control. There's a parameter. There's a command PNP PowerShell command set this is a PowerShell command set SPO tenant text me replication parameters. So you can basically use this command to control whether you want to only replicate one single term group from the primary geo, or do you want to replicate everything, whatever in the primary geo, probably 5 term set of term group or 7 term groups, they will be replicated. So you can control that behavior using the PowerShell. So app catalog, you can do manual, but recommendation is use PNP PowerShell or CLI or some custom script with the ALM APIs when you're deploying. So every time you build application, you will have a separate package. So you have app catalog. Each geo will have its own app catalog. So you need to deploy apps to the different app catalog for each geo. So some REST API multi-geo consideration. So if you are doing any SharePoint REST API is not multi-geo aware. So if you're doing some CRUD operation, then you need to handle it. So it's only work within the geo. So in terms of the cross-site queries, recommendation is use search API and then site provisioning. So they're all geo-specific. So you need to depend on the scenario you're working on, but the SharePoint REST API is not multi-geo aware. Then some migration scenario. For example, if you have 1,000 users and you want to migrate to multi-geo, what's that look like? So here you have a single tenant and 1,000 user existing SPFx solution, so search profile, text me, and single app catalog. And what it look like in the target state. So you go to multi-geo, you will have a different geos, 200 user in Euro, 100 in APC, multi-geo aware with SPFx cross geo search enabled, and 3 app different catalogs. So for the one for NAM, one for Euro, one for APC. Some of the checklists. So what you need to do with the search API, make sure it's multi-geo is true. Client type, people add in the search for the tracking, and then handle the multi-geo status response. User profile, use Graph API where you can. Then use term store to use the primary term store available everywhere. Local terms only in source geo, and so the app deployment. So I have a quick demo with the multi-geo toggle in SPFx. So just to show you, it's not the real dev tenant in multi-geo environment, but it's work exactly the same way. So I'm going to search like employee directory, and it's going to go and make a search. So simple search, nothing changes. I will go and say enable multi-geo search. I will go and say I wanted to show you the query structure what it look like. So if I do an employee directory and I made a search, but what happened here is this time I've added my properties and then added an enable multi-geo search, and this property as a true. So if I have a multi-geo tenant, simple request with this enable will go to all the multi-geo tenant available in my environment. So just briefly in the code, what it looks like, I just want to show you the search. So when I make a search, this is my handle, this is all my search, building my payload. So passing my parameter from the query string. So you can build the complex query from there as well. So going back to the slide. Best practices. If you want to design, plan ahead for the multi-geo search. Always enable multi-geo search for the if you want to go with the enterprise search solution. APIs, Microsoft Graph, use as much as your preferred API because it's the multi-geo aware. Profiles, cache profile display result to the reduced API calls. Terms, create a shared taxonomy in primary geo, which you can use globally. But again, it's depend on the scenarios and in your environment. Deploy, use ALM APIs or Power PNP PowerShell. Then have some test your solution each satellite geolocation. So here are some resource and reference. Please go through if you are working on any of the multi-geo SharePoint stuff. That's all from me. If you have any question, happy to take it.
Thank you, Ejaz. It's a great demo there. I did not know half of that stuff. That's a nice resource. All right, our final demo of the day is Hugo.
Awesome, thank you. My turn to share something that Bo doesn't know about. All right, so this is a continued series about creating an AI-powered adaptive card web part. Now, the whole point of this series is to try to fit in every single feature, every single capability in a web part in a way that makes sense, just to educate people about some of the lesser known features. And today is probably going to be one of the easiest one. We're going to talk about, we talked about data connectivity last week. Now we're going to, or last time, now we're going to talk about full bleed rendering. What is full bleed rendering? It sounds gruesome. It's just a different term for full width section. So in SharePoint, you have web parts that will fit inside of a full width section, and they will actually expand. They won't be limited. Most web parts will limit the width that they can use, regardless of the amount of space that's available to them. And that's really what full bleed rendering, full width is. I had to fit that in there, right? Nobody makes me full bleed my web part, if you're fans of dodgeball. But what does full bleed come from, right? What's the term full bleed? Well, in print design, when you print a page, normally you need to have margins on the side of the paper. And if you want color, images, graphics, whatever, to go all the way to the edge of the paper, normally what you do is you print the content larger than the pages, and then you trim the paper down to the sides. And if you look at the side of the paper, there's ink, and so that ink is called the bleed. So full bleed literally means that the design intentionally extends past the normal boundaries so that it reaches kind of the edges. And that's what full bleed web parts are all about. Let's do a demo. So this is a full bleed web part. This is right here is a regular web part. And you'll notice that regular web parts will usually fit in an area, and I don't even need to highlight that. You get to see it. But let's see what happens when I edit my page. And I'll get rid of this stuff here. You'll notice that not every web part known to man shows up right here. Only a few. And that's because only the web parts that are designed to support full bleed will show up here. And you'll notice that my web part that we've been working with, the Enhanced Web Part Builder, supports full bleed. So when I select it, the first thing you'll notice is you don't have the borders around the padding and stuff like that. It goes all the way to the edges of the screen. And that only happens when that web part is placed in a full bleed section. Our full width section. If I pick a template here, let's just use, I'll just say something static here. You'll notice that the content, even though this is an adaptive card web part, the content renders at full width without any margins. And I had to make some changes to my CSS rendering. To do that, I had to remove all the padding within the padding within the padding. But I did that in the first place because I had to do that for rendering adaptive cards within Webparts, because adaptive cards will always put some spaces around. Let's use a different template here. This one is a data-driven template. So I should probably put some data in here. Data, there you go. So see, the full width rendering can be pretty cool. I should probably fix the contrast here, but you know, full width or full bleed rendering can be pretty cool on a web part. But how do I get it to do that? Well, it is so easy that I'll show you. So if you want to consider that code, right, there's only one line that I need to change in my JSON, my manifest JSON. And here it is. Supports full bleed equals true. If you put that in and you bundle your web part, the web part will appear as a web part that can be added in a full width section. Now, there are some, well, that's it. That's all. That's the only code there is. Supports full bleed equals true. Now, there's a few things to understand about full width rendering. The first thing is most UX research shows that the optimal line length for reading is about 45 to 75 characters, and the sweet spot is about 60 to 66 character. You can see the text that I'm showing here is easy to read, right? And that's usually the space that most books, most newspapers, most papers, websites, and most documentation will always try to fit the text so it fits within 45 to 75. Because what happens when you read is your eyes, if I can find my cursor, your eyes read across like this. Then it commits to memory, or your brain parses the meaning. Then it goes to the next line, and that's called the saccade. If you are dyslexic or ADHD, you may actually have shorter saccades that you need to combine together. But the point is, optimally for most people, this range here is best for reading speed, comprehension, and reduce the drop of comfort. If we look at something like this, where this is hard to probably read because the font is small, but a full width content on a widescreen could easily reach 150 to 200 characters per line. And so when the lines are longer like that, it affects reading speed, it affects comprehension. And because the eyes have to travel too far, it's harder to find the start of the line when you're scanning. So the saccade is slower, which means that your cognitive load increased, the amount of effort mentally that you need to do, and to understand the content, and the readers, they're placed more often. So research shows that you will have actually higher abandonment. People will just stop reading what you have on your page. And that's why serious content sites will never, ever, ever go edge to edge for body text. So then, according to research, what's the best use of full bleed or full width content? Well, you should look at things like data tables, things like dashboards, right, where it's visual and it's impactful. You could look at any form of data visualizations, right, things on a map or something like that, and any image heavy content like I had on my dashboard earlier. What research shows is that they constantly reframe it as you optimize for reading first and scanning second, right? That's when you use full bleed, full width. It's hard to say. All right, so we talked about full bleed rendering. Next time in our series, we'll talk about multimodality, which is different ways to use AI in your web part that will include things like vision and speech and things like that. But for now, if you have any questions or you want more information, you can read more about adaptive cards, and you can use the article on how to use Webparts with the full width column at the links on the screen. That's it for me. Bo, back to you.
Awesome. Thank you, Hugo. Thank you, everyone else who presented on the call today. Great demos by everyone. Let's give some reactions. Now, we always like to improve. Thank you for the claps, David. You're a bit delayed there. Let's work on that for next time. So we do love to improve these calls, so we want to know how we are doing. So if you go to aka.ms/community/calls/feedback, you can let us know. Give us all of your good and bad feedback that you have. All right. You can also join our official Discord server as well. There's a bunch of different channels there and topics, but you can share knowledge, ask questions, or stay up to date on some of the announcements that we have. And you can go to aka.ms/community/discord to sign up for that. And lastly, thank you. This recording will be available in 24 hours and posted on our YouTube. As always, follow us on our socials. And our next community call is the Power Platform call, February 12th at 7 a.m. Pacific time. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day.